Hello and welcome to the Permaculture Vine Podcast. I'm your host Cormac Harkin, and today we have Lusi Alderslowe with us. Welcome, Lusi.
Thank you, Cormac. It's a pleasure to be on your show. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, well, this is your second appearance.
Yes, indeed.
You were on before with Annette about children and permaculture, but this time we're going to go through your background and just share your journey with us. Do you want to just give us a quick introduction, please?
Yeah, I'm Lusi Alderslowe. I live in southwest Scotland in Dumfries and Galloway, which is, I like to confuse people by saying it's the south coast of Scotland. It's southwest. And I've, mostly lived in Scotland, but lived in Glasgow before I lived here, as well as having lived in Edinburgh in the city. And I'm a permaculture educator, one of the authors of the book Earth Care, People Care and Fair Share in Education, the Children in Permaculture Manual. And I've been practicing permaculture for, since 2005 is when I first studied the permaculture design course, which I did with my son as a baby in arms. So it was just after he was born. He was a couple of months old. And I did the permaculture design course over weekends with the teacher, Ed Tyler. He's a wonderful teacher who lives in the west coast of Scotland. And I've been teaching since, basically. Yeah, since about 2010 I've been teaching.
That's good. That's quite a lot of experience. Do you want to just tell us, so in 2005 when you took that, was Ed, did you hear about permaculture before that?
The very first time I heard of permaculture was from my friend Kirsty Hughes, who was doing a PTC with Wilf over in Newcastle. And it was just after we were back from Africa, because we met when we were working together in Africa. And I think there's a lot to be said about experiencing a different culture, living together in community in a different culture, living off grid, and then suddenly realizing how wealthy we are, how much we have, and how much we don't really need, and then finding those positive solutions to the world's problems through actions that we can do every day.
And that inspired you then to do the PDC, I take it? Your own PDC?
Yeah, well, I studied human ecology, I did a master's in human ecology, which is kind of like the academic side of permaculture, I think. So it's all about the head, heart and hand, for example. So some of the terminology, and one of the modules I studied within that was eco-psychology. So my passion has always had that nature connection focus.
Yeah, so what is that why you did the PDC and after your masters?
Yeah. It was on offer, and I was like, sure, that sounds great. I'd like to know more.
Yeah, and you said it was over a series of weekends?
Yes, that was one over weekends.
In person?
In person, yeah.
Yeah. And then once you got the PDC, what was next?
Well, I had a small child, and then another one came along a couple of years later. One of the first designs I did was the Nurture in Nature, which is an outdoor play group for us as parents with young children we were living in the city, so it was quite an inner city situation. And I just knew if I wanted to do one thing for my child, it was to be outside in nature, and with other people, other parents and children. And it was a brilliant group. I did that for 6 years, actually, ran that group as part of, and that was part of my diploma journey. The wonderful thing about doing a diploma is you just get support to do the things that you want to do anyway. So you have to do 10 designs as part of the diploma, but one of those, each of those designs should be things that are of interest to you, you're going to be doing anyway. So I wanted to be doing stuff for my son, so I did a design around that. I wanted to work in a community garden, so I did a design around the community garden. And you can have social designs, personal designs, like how can I live as sustainably as possible, as one of my designs, as well as like garden design. So how do I design this garden using permaculture design? Did a herb spiral design as well. So it's quite a varied, I think there was a big focus on urban permaculture at that time. But in the sort of nature connection in an urban environment.
Yeah, I've enrolled in the diploma. I think I'm in there 2 years. No, I've done a couple of projects, but I just haven't written them up and submitted them. But again, my ends are along them lines as well. It's actually stuff that I'm going to be actually doing.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
think
it's that.
I think it's really a fantastic opportunity to say, hey, I've done this design. Can someone give me some feedback on it? And then you could write it up. As you said, you're resisting that. So perhaps you'd rather make a video about it, or perhaps you could do a podcast about it.
Yeah, well, funny enough,
You
the
know.
one of my projects is personal finance, and one of the things is basically my what do you call the first thing you do? Your diploma outline,
Yeah, you're
your
learning
yeah,
pathway.
your learning pathway. So I'm actually getting a consult with a green living coach, and she's going to coach me on my design pathway. So I've put forward 10 projects that I want to build into my life, and then she's going to coach me on the 10 as part of the submission. So I thought that was something different. And it's just a matter, I have sort of written them up. I just need to just formalize it and hand it to my tutor.
Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
you do need to formalize it, but I think if writing inhibits you from getting to that, then finding a different way of presenting that information is fine. And I think that's the power of the diploma as well, that you can be like, I've got a really good design that looks like this on this piece of paper, and I can talk to it. And, you can do that over a Zoom call that's recorded rather
Yeah.
than doing it as if writing isn't your thing.
Yeah. So what inspired you to do the diploma? Was that just a natural next step? Or were you getting involved in the UK permaculture at that stage?
I really thought that both the human ecology and the permaculture were really powerful. And I thought that the permaculture was powerful because you could cover so much in quite a short amount of time, whereas the human ecology was a whole master's, which was a lot more financial and time investment. Whereas the permaculture course was like a kind of like 12-day investment and can equally have that really powerful effect of switching on people's eyes and changing their perspectives and worldviews. And so that was when I decided that I wanted to teach permaculture, basically because no one else was teaching it. Although Ed was up there on the West Coast teaching it, there wasn't anyone in the cities teaching it where I lived. So I thought, well, someone needs to teach this. And I looked around and no one else was doing it. So I thought, well, better be me then, And I think that's a really great way of seeing what the need is and permaculture perspective. Like, what is the need out there, and then who can solve it? And if there isn't someone else, well, maybe it can be you. Find your own solutions, and that's the great thing about permaculture design as well. Is like the problem is the solution. So if the problem is the solution, if you see a problem, how can you find a solution to that, and how can you be part of that solution? You don't have to do it all yourself, but being part of that solution. So I felt like permaculture design courses needed to happen in Glasgow. So I did the diploma for over 2 years and did a permaculture teacher training, which I organised because I wanted to learn how to teach permaculture. So I got the teachers to come to the venue, and I organised the venue and the people, and the teachers came in, and that's a really great way of building the movement of permaculture teachers in Scotland. That was like, right, let's have more people teaching. Yeah,
Right. So the normal mindset would have been I have to go somewhere and travel to get the teacher, but you brought all that to yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And then I probably got I don't remember the details. This was in 2010, but I probably got a free place on the course in exchange for me doing all the course organisation and booking everybody and so on. So it's a really powerful thing to do as well. If you want
That's a
to
great
learn
idea.
something.
I might actually steal that one.
I do. It's a really powerful way, and that's as a permaculture teacher now. I love it when someone phones me up and says, "Hey, Lucy, would you like to come and teach a permaculture design course local to me, whether that's in Ireland or in Guernsey or in Fintorn?" And that's great because if they're doing all the bookings, then I don't have to do the admin and the bookings and the advertising. Because
Right.
I can't organise I can't advertise a course to people that live in a country that I don't live in because my reach isn't there. Those are not my people.
Yeah.
But I'm very happy to travel and to teach, whether that's in any of my specialisms. So I teach like introduction to permaculture or permaculture design courses. I was invited to Spain recently to co-teach with Alfred Decker a permaculture teacher training with a focus on children. We do introduction to engaging children in permaculture courses, and various other specialisms like such as nature connection. Interested in queer permaculture as well. So it's good just to say, hey, there's lots of different possibilities and different slants and takes on permaculture. But the permaculture children, obviously, with having the book and a lot of experience working with children, is a great area that I'm really passionate about.
Class. Maybe I was on a call the other day. She painted me this permaculture.
Oh, cute!
So I must be doing something right there. I was delighted with that.
Well, my brag for the week is my nearly 18-year-old son I said something about how tired I was after driving all day because we did a community composting tour to visit different sites that are doing community composting. And I said how tired I was, and he said, I do find driving tiring, but I find my work just as tiring. And I'm like, I feel invigorated after my work. And he said, well, I think that's because your work has meaning. And that's a great thing that permaculture does for me. Is like, I finish a day's work and I'm excited, I'm energized, I feel great because I know that I've switched people on, I've made a difference in the world, and I'm helping towards realizing my vision of Earth Care, People Care, and Fair Share. So yeah, I feel good after a day's work, even if I'm tired.
Yeah, that's a good way to live. I'm just not that quite there yet. I have another few years to go yet. So you travel for teaching permaculture and also do you teach teachers?
Yes.
Yeah, and then go ahead.
I teach teachers of permaculture, which is what I was doing in Spain when I was working with Alfred Decker there. But I also teach like school teachers, for example, permaculture. Yeah.
Great. So then when you did your PDC, you did your diploma, and then your teacher training you brought in. So you're obviously very entrepreneurial. How does the business side line up with all that? Did you start a business then at the time? To go hand in hand?
It always seems to just work out.
Yeah.
The financial side of things does seem to just work out. I've generally had a job. I mean, I've basically only been working in permaculture, I don't know for how long, a really long time. Because I say, if I was working as a community gardener, well, that was me doing permaculture. When I was working as the Dumfries and Galloway Community Food Network coordinator, that was also permaculture. So because you can apply permaculture to anything, like I wouldn't take a role that wasn't, I don't know, I'm not going to go and work for an arms factory.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take such an offer. Not that I would be offered it.
No, you might be in more trouble than you're worth. Yeah. So advice for people. We had a roundtable all night live, and the conversation was how do you teach permaculture? And one of the things was if you've got a PDC, you can teach, but obviously there's some common sense. Like I couldn't go and teach about swales when I have never dug a swales, or regenerative farming when I haven't done that, although I'm aware of it. So there's some common sense there. You've obviously went down the qualification route. Would you advise someone? What would your advice to be someone who's just got their PDC and wants to teach?
Yeah. So you can, like, as you said, you wouldn't teach swales if you've never dug a swale. You don't teach permaculture design unless you've done a design, right? So
yeah,
the permaculture design course is a specific thing where you go through and you get support and someone helps you with the 10 designs so that you've got the design aspect under your belt. But if you want to teach other aspects of permaculture, you can totally do that. It is really helpful to get training in how to teach, and there's different routes that you can become a teacher, including co-teaching with other more experienced teachers, which is always a great thing to do. Even if you've got the qualifications, I would definitely recommend teaching on someone else's course, whatever, if you're into syntropic agriculture. I think of Ireland and I think of these innovative things that are happening over there. But you can learn to teach through assisting a teacher. So you get to do the whole course for free, typically, in exchange for you teaching some aspects and being the person who runs out the room when there's something needed, maybe hoovers or, just to help set up the sessions and so on. But then if you can build up an array of different session plans, so you make a session plan for a particular audience, and then you know how you're going to do it differently next time. You do it 2 or 3 times, then you have that session under your belt. So if you wanted to do an introduction to permaculture course, actually, I found that the hardest one for me, the module, the introduction, because people could ask you about anything. Whereas if you're specifically teaching on a particular module, you can become an expert in that one field. So personally, that was the one I was definitely having a co-teacher. And have a co-teacher, never go unsupported. That's one thing that I would always say. Always have someone else who's in the room who can support. It gives you a moment as well when someone asks you a question, and sometimes those questions can be quite left field. So if someone else can give their answer whilst you're thinking and vice versa, it does enable a sort of a bit more thought and a bit of, time to think through what their perspective is and why they're asking that, where that person's coming from when they're asking you that question.
Yeah, so it's permaculture. There's the guild of ideas then. Just there's two different people, 2 different experience, able to cover a range of questions better than one person.
Although I would say nowadays, the correct answer is always, it depends. So, fine.
Yeah, it depends. That gives you a few minutes to think. A few seconds. Great stuff. So then, you started teaching all over the place. And do you want to tell us about where you were out at Alfred's been on the podcast a couple of times?
Oh, excellent! Yeah,
we had him on. I was supposed to go see him he was down in Galway teaching there, but I never made it. The Irish gathering had too much stuff. My car blew up a month ago.
Yes.
So that sort of put a kibosh on any travel plans I had.
Yeah.
So then you got your teaching cert and you went out and started teaching. Do you want to tell us about that step of your journey? About how you developed as a teacher then and how you get into writing books?
Yeah, I started a permaculture design course. Abby Morden, who worked at the time for Urban Roots in Glasgow, got funding, I think, to get myself and James Chapman, who's in Edinburgh, and Angus Soutar, who was in the north of England, involved in teaching a permaculture design course. That was right before I got my diploma, I think. So it was great having Angus. He was the lead tutor, but he let us teach lots of the course, an awful lot of the course. So he supported us to do that. And I also co-taught on various, different sessions and things on the Ed Tyler's course that I had been the student on. And that's really important part of my learning journey, building skills and, as I say, session plans. So next time, if you were to try and do prepare for a 2-week PDC and never taught any of those sessions, it would be very difficult because you wouldn't have the session plans in place. So actually having those in place makes a big difference to being able to organise a course. Yeah. And to be well prepared to teach. What did I do next? So I taught a 2-week permaculture design course where I was the lead tutor. I think that would have been 2011. That was the first time when I was in that role on a 2-week PTC as the lead tutor up in the north of Scotland because someone invited me to their place. I actually taught the course over in Ireland as well with Susie Can and Hannah.
Down in Wexford?
Yeah.
Yeah. Southeast coast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something. Wicklow. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, Wicklow's beside Wexford.
Okay.
I was one county out.
It doesn't end on yeah, and down in Wicklow, yeah. So I did that a couple of years. But the main course that I've always organised that I organise myself and do everything for is the one in Glasgow. So I've been doing that since about 2010 or 11. And that was January to June, one weekend per month for 6 months. And I did that for lots of years and always invited someone to co-teach that with me. And I've had it in different venues over that time period, as you can imagine, community gardens, vary and change. And more recently, there was a little break around COVID, understandably. And then I started doing it so it was half online and half in person. So half of the permaculture design course is online. So we've now got static stuff on a a hosting site on, YouTube, what you link to. And we have some Zoom sessions. And then we have Saturdays, and we have 6 Saturdays, and those 6 Saturdays are in 6 different community gardens. And we have that happening. So there's 2 concurrent courses. The online stuff is all together, but the Saturdays are set into, you can either do the Glasgow course or the Galloway course. But if you're unable to make the Galloway day, you can swap to the Glasgow. It's quite a complicated design.
Yeah, I like the hybrid idea, basically because you're not sitting going through technical things that you can go through in the house, and you're not wasting that contact time. I'd rather have, right, I've done all my background reading, and I'm here now to ask as many questions and then actually get your hands dirty and actually learn stuff.
Exactly. We don't even book indoor spaces for most of those Saturdays, just the mapping day. We obviously, for that day, we have an indoor space, but mostly we don't even have an indoor space available to us. We're just outside all day, and practical, and doing tours and understanding the different permaculture systems in different locations, including a day in my own garden where we built a herb spiral a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, like seeing food forests in action, and different composting systems and different wormeries, and speaking to the people who manage them so that you can really get a grip on some of the technical stuff. But the online stuff is really powerful because I do videos. I have made these videos, for example, the analysis tools, and you can go and rewatch them next time you're doing a design. So most of those videos I'm just working with Gemma in the Permaculture Association to create, we've created the pilot of doing like an online course that's supporting you to do any like post PDC designs. And you can go in and watch the video and like, oh, these are these analysis of tools. This is how you use them. And you're like, oh, that would just be the analysis tool for me with this design. And you wouldn't think about it because, maybe you hadn't thought about using that tool before. And then you watch the video and then you go and do another, and by the time you could keep, because all of those online materials are available forever. It's never like, oh, it's some courses, they say, oh, you're not allowed to look at these videos anymore. Whereas all these courses, they're fully online. They're never going to be taken down as long as the Mighty Networks still is supporting it, So
yeah,
you can keep looking at them when they're doing their next design.
I did Jeff Lawton's online PDC just because it's what was available at the time. Now, it was great, but it was just too much classroom stuff. And then as well, he takes the content away once you've finished, unless you pay another $500 for access. So you can buy the access then for lifetime access, they call it, which I thought was like, I think I paid like $1,500 for the PDC.
That's more than I charge for a face-to-face one, and the cost is much more for a
and then you're adding another 500 on top of that. I thought it was a bit steep. I was like, so I never got it. I was chatting to somebody all night about they were putting a PDC together, of course, and they were overwhelmed. Now you've partially answered this already, I think, but how do you deal with that overwhelm of putting a course together?
How do I deal with any overwhelm? Do a permaculture design.
Yeah.
Just when I'm feeling overwhelmed, like I stop and I focus, even if it's a permaculture design around my personal work to-do list, which is like often a mind map. There's a mind map of my work for July. End of July. Yeah, I need to do another one. But the point is, I know it's September.
Yeah.
But whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed, I stop and I take the time to do a permaculture, do a design process. Often I use a multiple criteria decision matrix, but to do a PDC design, there are a lot of different aspects. So I would do a really clear permaculture design, and then you can just go step by step to organize all of that.
Class. And for your designs, do you use any software or do you hand draw your sketch? Do you sketch them?
When I'm drawing, I use paper and tracing paper and card cutouts, occasionally Play-Doh,
Yeah.
mind maps, depending on the type of design that I'm doing. But
For land design or
yeah,
for
land-based
property
designs,
design.
I just prefer the paper and the tracing paper because it gives me the embodied sensation of it.
Yeah. And then when did the inspiration then they start writing books come into it? Or was that just something you just did?
It actually happened. So the Children in Permaculture project was started when Rakesh and Gaia were at the European Permaculture Teachers Trainings, and Gaia kept saying, "But what about the kids? Are we teaching permaculture to kids?" And Rakesh said, "Well, I'll support you to do that as long as it's done with sociocracy." And everyone apparently was saying, "You should speak to Lucy. You should speak to Lucy." And so as soon as they posted anything online, I immediately got in touch. I was like, "Hey, I want to be involved." So it was the three of us recruited, designed the whole project, which is European funding, Erasmus Plus funding, which is no longer available to UK residents. But it might be again. You never know. Once Scotland goes back into the EU. So the book was the book was just part of that project, and we said we would write a manual. And I was imagining writing a manual much like Andy Goldring's edited the manual of different session plans about teaching permaculture. So I was imagining something like that, but with a specific focus on children. And then that was when I was designing the project, like the design process, writing the funding application. It was a 100-page application. It was ridiculous. And there was a lot of design work and getting that design ready for the funders. But we were funded €250,000 and across the 7 organizations in 5 different countries, so 5 partner languages. And the book was just part of that. And one of the partners said, "Oh yeah, my wife edits books to make them look pretty." And we said, "Sure, that sounds nice." So it was thanks to that connection that it looks beautiful, right? It's due to someone else's skills within the group, which is wonderful. Because and people still come up to me and say, "Lucy, this book is really, really helpful. It's really beneficial."
And where's that available to buy?
You can buy it from Ecologic Books.
Yeah, we'll throw a link in the description here.
Yeah.
Take all.
It says it's currently out of stock, but they have been posted a box within the last 8 days. So yeah.
So you want to move quick then to get them copies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other, well, I suppose these are not books; they're booklets, which came out. I've been working with the local council, Dumfries and Galloway Council, for a few years, and it was through talking to them. They were like, "Well, we've got this funding for Maths Week Scotland, and we want to engage more parents in doing maths outdoors." And help parents to understand, because most teachers now understand the benefits of being outdoors, because they've been taught it in their various trainings, so all the benefits of taking the children outdoors. But there were some still parents and grandparents, carers, that maybe didn't understand the benefits, or that the children are actually, it's real learning when you're outdoors. It is actually curricular learning. So we made this booklet, which was for parents taking maths outdoors with your child, which introduces games and activities that you can play with your child or children when you're out and about together. So I co-wrote that with myself and Kay, wrote that booklet, and that's for early years children. And it's, symmetry spotting and things. And we also did one about taking literacy outdoors with your child. And we can put the link to these. These are like freely available on the Outdoor and Woodland Learning Scotland website as well. So yeah, like how do you teach these key subjects? It's hard for teachers to prioritize being outside when they have so many different pressures. But if they can see activities that they can genuinely do outside that relate to more obviously to their curricular goals, then it's really beneficial. So these are for early years, and I've just written and at the printers now a book for children, for the children rather than for the parents, of the children. The children who are in upper primary school, so 7 to 12-year-olds, about maths outdoors, which I'm really excited about trialling these new activities in our new Maths Meet Scotland project.
So are these just a like sort of accompanying standard state education, or is this like for homeschoolers, or just for parents?
It's so
all of the above.
Everyone. Yeah, everyone needs to be outside. It is not like, being outdoors. I think most people who listen to this podcast know being outdoors is good for you. It's, makes your heart sing. You enjoy seeing the butterflies. I'm just looking at the butterflies outside the window. and it's good for you, and it's good for everyone. So it's for the children in schools, for the children who are home educated, for the children who finish school and they go out with their parents. It's for, for everybody, and it's for the adults, of course, as well. And having activities that you can do with your child can be really beneficial to helping you to stay for longer, because otherwise you just sort of walk. And actually going for a walk is not really what it's about. Oh, the dog peeked up her ears there.
Bad mistake. If you're a dog owner, you'll know that's a bad mistake.
But it's not just that. It is about stopping. It's not just the movement part of it. It's actually the stopping and playing and engaging with the environment, engaging with naming the plant, learning what that plant can be used for, using it for that, knowing which stick is better for a bow and which one is better for an arrow. Learning these things, because it's fun. But having maths makes it more widely accessible. So the children in permaculture is broad, and I guess has that permaculture focus, whereas these booklets and the project that we did last year has a maths focus, but it's also about nature literacy. It's about understanding the important, all sorts of different activities that you can do that relate to maths, but are also nature literacy. One of the so we did just mention this project that we did last year. We got kind of funding. Like we got a contract to deliver Multiply, which was a UK government scheme to teach adults maths, and one of their target audience groups was parents, and there was also hard to reach groups, and we did projects to teach maths to those target audience, and there was loads of funding, so it was really possible to do this huge project where over the whole time we worked with just wait for that spreadsheet to load up, about 10,000 people altogether. Wow. Which was a huge project. There was two parts where we were working with children. One was these roadshow where we went to every village and town and across the region. And in the roadshow, there were 2,164 children and 838 adults. And then with the Just Add Play sessions, so we would go into a school and we'd have timetabled up to 5 sessions in the day of 1 hour long. So maybe 9:15 till 10:15, 10:30 till 11:30, 11:30 till 12:30, and then 1 hour in the afternoon. And then we do an after school group. And each of those 1 hours would be with different group of children. So we'd have up to 5 different groups of children in a day. And we would do outdoor activities with them. That was outdoor maths activities and nature. So they're not just, it's not just taking the maths outside and doing a worksheet. It's outside. It's how do you integrate learning about nature and learning about maths together? So one example is that, baby adder, an adder is
A snake?
A snake. Yeah,
Yeah.
You don't have snakes in Ireland, do you?
No, it's a Patrick, get rid of them all.
Yeah. Well, we do in Dumfries and Galloway. We have a snake. Lots of kids didn't know that snakes live here because they're very shy. And adders, when they are born, they don't lay eggs. They are born as adderlings, baby adders. It's cute, right? And they're 17 centimeters long when they're born, which is the same as my hand, from the bottom of my hand to the top of my finger, which is 17 centimeters. So then, okay, kids, see if you can go and find a stick that's the same length as a baby adder. You can use any of these adults' hands to measure. So that's introducing non-standard measurements, as well as something about nature, so that you can learn about nature and do math at the same time. And it gives meaning to the mathematics. So it's not just a worksheet with a bunch of numbers that you have to get through. It's actually got meaning, because I'm going to find a baby adder. And it's much more exciting.
Yeah, no, it sounds a lot more interesting than my maths class when I was in school.
Yeah. So all of our activities are like that. All of our activities are linked to nature, a nature fact. Yeah, you're going to love our new one as well when it comes out. It'll be out soon. Literally, it's just been sent to the printer.
Class. So I seen a school the other day with my children. They were showed a picture of the eco club where they were out planting in the garden, and they were wearing medical gloves. And I nearly cracked up. I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Such good intention, so poorly executed." Any thoughts on that?
Whether some people like to wear gardening gloves and some people don't. You're talking about medical gloves, which is
it was like
thing.
the COVID, like the stuff you get in the hospital that the doctor puts on to have surgery, and they were wearing these oversized,
they're disposable
and these
as well.
disposable, and it was like
Single-use plastic. Yeah,
you've missed the
and
point there
don't actually
completely.
protect your hands from nettle stings, probably.
Well, it's the fact that having the soil in your hands is part of the benefits.
It is, absolutely.
That contact with nature. A bit of dirt doesn't do any harm. You can wash your hands afterwards.
Yeah.
And then it was they're disposing of these disposable gloves. They're made for a hospital or a sterile environment. They're not made for outside. And yeah, for me then as well, when you wear gloves like that and you sweat, you actually encourage bad bacteria growth. So when you take the glove off, your hands are full of germs because you haven't sterilized them in a medical environment beforehand.
Yeah, I guess, I would always say it depends, Cormac. So I wouldn't use single-use plastic, but gardening gloves, there are times and places where it is useful to use them. Some children will have a texture thing where they can't handle it, and it's better that they're getting used to it, that they handle the plants and have, if they feel safer and more protected with the gloves, then that's absolutely fine with me. And that's, it's child-led pedagogy, and it's working with nature and working with the nature of the child, and having them as an option for people that want to use them, I think is perfectly fine. Not the single-use one, but proper gardening gloves. But obviously explaining the benefits of having soil and the microbes that you probably know about, that study that was done in Finland where they learned that children who have direct contact with wild soil, whether that's wild soil that's been imported into a school ground or whether the children are going out to a native forest, that the children's immune system is actually boosted if they are allowed to play with the soil. I mean, mud kitchens are so much fun, so kids love them. But if there was a child within the group who wouldn't get involved because they were afraid of, say, their hands getting dirty or, afraid of something, then I think enabling and working with that child is supporting them to reach that next step. Maybe in a year, they'll be up for taking their gloves off.
Yeah. Very positive there. Yeah. So You were in the UK Permaculture Association magazine recently. Was that for them leaflets?
Yeah, I was in this issue of the Permaculture magazine, which I think is international. And yes, this is all about our big maths project, learning permaculture with maths. And it really has been powerful because we managed to work with 10,000 people and introduced the permaculture ethics to every group that I was working with, because it's fundamental to everything that we do when we're out, when I'm working with children, all decisions that I make. And it was really helpful. I remember like talking about earth care as the first thing. And then later on in the session, one of the other adults said, remember what the lady said? She said not to hurt bugs. And so we'll just pick up a little leaf or a stick and move that bug to the side, so because children were going to go to kill the bug. So yeah, integrating earth care, people care, and fair share into everything is really beneficial. And this is the article, for those of you who can see it, talking about how we managed to reach 10,000 people over a 9-month period, really. There wasn't just me, there was 8 of us involved. Yeah.
Class.
So, yeah. Pie charts with pine cones, conkers, leaves, and crab apples on this page. So, yeah.
I must get a read of that.
Yeah. So, yeah, do look it up. Yeah, the Permaculture magazine is always a good read.
Yeah. So what's the future hold? Any big projects coming up, or is it head down now for the winter?
Head down now for Maths Week Scotland, which is in September. So busy. I'll be working in primary schools. I'll be working in secondary schools with the young people who are working at the level 1 and 2 level, those with additional support needs. And I'll be working in the local college, teaching mostly young people who are learning to become nursery teachers. I'll be teaching them how to do maths outside. Be working in the university, teaching the people who are studying to be school teachers how to do maths outside. So busy month ahead. Lots of that, as well as teaching the permaculture design course, which in Galloway, and the one in Glasgow. And thinking about next year, definitely going to be teaching the permaculture design course in Eco Village Findhorn up in the north of Scotland, which is a 2-week one, which I absolutely love. I love going there, as well as planning out the one for Galloway and Glasgow, and possibly a permaculture teacher training with a focus on children, co-teaching with Alfred and hosted in Denmark next summer.
Wow.
And I'll be going to the Netherlands in October as well. So watch this space.
Wow, what's this? So is Alfred taking the teacher training on tour, is he? I think last year was in Spain.
Last one was in Spain at his place, but there was several people from Denmark who wanted to go and were unable in the last minute, and we said, well, host us next year, and they said sure. And that's where I was saying, like, if you want a course, and you know that it's been done in other places at dates that you couldn't do or places you couldn't do, invite us. It's great. Happy to come, happy to travel and save 15, 16 people from traveling. It's easier for one person to travel, so it can be done in your location with your local people.
Yeah, that's actually a new concept to me today. So I've learned something new. I didn't even think of that. I've never actually heard that before within the permaculture space, so thanks for sharing that. Any final words, final thoughts?
Earth care, people care, and fair share can be embedded in everything that you do, whether that's working with children, with your home life, anything. So they're just really powerful ways of helping you to make sense of the world and work out what your next step can be.
That's great. And thanks very much, Lucy. All Lucy's links will be in the description. Yeah, so you'll find all our podcasts now published on Substack at the Permaculture Vine. And we also have a school now, which is where we're trying to build up a community. So basically, as we publish episodes, you can go over there. It's there's some we chat about the podcast episodes. It's just somewhere for people to gather, because I know we're previously before Instagram, Facebook have stopped showing people stuff unless you pay. So it's over in the school. We have some basic courses over there too. We have an introduction to permaculture gardening, which is really basic, like gloves, tools, and then basically taking it up to square foot gardening is a good place to start. And then we have introduction to permaculture design again, which is very, very basic, talking about zones and gills and things like that. Nothing too complicated. Just trying to get people started. Lucy, thank you very much again. That was really nice chatting to you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Cormac. Oh, and I've just remembered that I forgot to mention the online Children in Permaculture, Introduction to Engaging Children in Permaculture course that we teach. We'll get the dates up for the next one soon.
Let us know that, and I can post it as well along with the episode. Lucy, thanks very much, guys. I'll chat to you all on the next one. Cheers.